Right, time for a new module. Uh, the Prophets. Prologue, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. I have to say something about this campaign beforehand. It's very likely you'll need a critical rebuild of the Winter Nights game to basically get this to work. Certain versions of the game will basically, how to explain it, they will be lacking certain resources, even though you probably wouldn't recognize it by playing most of the modules or the original games. But they don't contain everything anymore. So what a critical rebuild is basically, it makes sure that all those files are there. They're reinstalled if they're missing. So at least for me, at certain point, if you're missing those resources, you will start to crash, or you might not be able to load some area at all, and that's as a consequence of you lacking those certain resource files. Just a forewarning about this. If that's there's no harm in installing a critical rebuild anyway. More or less like a Steam integrity check. Checks that you have everything that you need, and if it doesn't, it'll automatically just get it. So there's no harm in trying to install it. Just saying it that on a typical installation or a good old games installation, that's a problem you might encounter by playing the Prophet series, and a critical installation or rebuild will basically fix that. Okay, this module is the first in the Prophet series. It is meant to be played by a single player who is gifted with the power to see the future. Modules in the rest of the series are designed for a group. Yeah, that doesn't really apply. Suggested character. The Prophet player can be male or female and of any race or class. However, he or she should have above average intelligence and a non-evil alignment. So those are our limitations. But it's a pretty big limitation. Otherwise, the scripted conversations will not make sense. The game doesn't really enforce this. It's just if you try to play something else, if you play an evil character, your dialogue options don't make sense. If you're a retard, your dialogue options don't make sense. Things like that. So I'm going to try to make an intelligent non-evil character. That's for multiplayer. Right. The reason why I mentioned the critical rebuild also is that it's not mentioned in the requirements of the module, so it's something that you might miss. Just having everything the game says is basically it needs is not enough for this particular campaign. I'm thinking of well, there's basically a couple of options available that I could have tried. One would be Pale Master. It would basically be a wizard that has sacrifices some spell casting in order to get survivability, but the last campaign I played through was the Avon Saga, and I sort of played like a spellcasting fighter there, and that's more or less what a Pale Master is going to be. It's like a wizard that's a suckier wizard. Survivability. It's good if you want to make some kind of a melee fighter out of your wizard, I suppose. So it would be too similar to what I played recently, so I'm going to try with something different. I'm going to go with different but similar. I'm going to try to go with Arcane Archer. It's a combat casting, physical combat and spell casting mix, but it's I don't have zero interest in trying to make it a sort of a melee guy that you buff to get to work. I'm more or less visioning it as a glass cannon type of thing that you have in a way, maybe not a sturdy glass cannon. So basically, more instead of focusing on buffing yourself and fighting out in physical combat, focus on range combat and spell casting to support support maybe your allies and offensive spell casting. So much more offensive focused than the druid, for example, or a pale master would be. I'm going to go with a standard portrait just to make sure that I don't have to deal with any kind of corruption issues with the portrait. So she has a bow, so don't care about that much. What I would like to is, yeah, this might be fitting, because we are looking at a spellcaster, so some kind of a smart, intelligent character, not just some kind of a rogue or a fighter. The problem is, how are you gonna get there? You have to be an elf. The attack bonus 6 is the problem. Feats, you need a bow feat and a point blank shot, but that's trivial to get. Spellcasting, basically any arcane spellcaster, a single level of it would be sufficient. We want some spellcasting power, so I'd like to have more. The attack bonus 6 is the problem. There's the classes are divided into 3 groups based on the attack bonus progression: high, medium, and low. High progression gets a new +1 to their base attack bonus with each level up. I think medium gets like a 3/4 and low gets 1/2. So 6, 9, or 12 levels of something to get that base attack bonus to 6. But I don't want to make I don't want to progress as a fighter, and no matter what we do, we need some kind of spellcasting class in there. So it's a sorcerer, wizard, or a bard, basically. Sorcerer and wizard would be half point attack bonus per level up. Bard would be 3/4. And I'm not sure which is more sufficient. I'm sort of leaning toward a wizard or a sorcerer. Probably a wizard because it benefits more from the intelligence. Simply because the spell selection is going to be different. Otherwise, the bard would make more sense since it will progress faster. But I don't want to wait 12 levels before I can take even a single level of Arcane Archer. It's a 3-part campaign, so we'll probably get those levels. But still, that's a long time to wait. So a mixture of probably a 3-6 mixture, 3 warrior levels or high attack bonus progression levels and 6 mage levels. 3 from the other, 3 from the other. At that point we should have all the feats, point blank range, certainly have spellcasting power. Yeah, but which one I think we're better off. The game is for character levels 5 to 10. Basically, you'll get to start at level 5 character, so we get to decide not just the first 5 levels right now. The thing is, I'm either going to be a very decent, well, a half-decent fighter and a shitty wizard, or a decent wizard and have no fighting capabilities. I think we should take the fighter just for the feats and the initial feats. Basically, you get a ton: armors, weapon skills, and the like. And we're going to have to, even if I made a pure wizard, I don't have the spells to basically kill all that much with just relying on that spell casting. We're not going to be able to cast super high level spells. So intelligence 16 is probably sufficient. I need dexterity. Dexterity is light, so 16 there. I need some strength because I might have to rely on melee. I might have to carry a lot of equipment. I might have to use an armor, so I can't do without strength. Character progression, or attributes gained later will probably go mainly to dexterity. Probably. Right, 18. So, decent combat attributes. We don't have all that much life, but I'd still like to not be in the negatives. And high intelligence. Stupid and uncharismatic. Don't really need any skills. Wizard is does not have humble as their skill, so we probably should take it. A little bit of search wouldn't hurt, otherwise we'll never detect traps. And lore is useful for a wizard and a fighter. Discipline is mandatory. Concentration is good for a wizard, but okay, all armor proficiencies. Immunity to sleep. Hardness versus enchantments. Keen senses. Low light vision. Sense search and spot affinity. Weapon proficiency. Elf, martial, simple. We need. I could take the. I'll take the skills or feats we need right now. I'm not sure I want to take weapon finesse. We have a decent amount of strength, so it's a little bit weaker, but not that much weaker. Longbow. It's more damaging, and that's a big problem with the range weapons usually. Point blank shot. More damage. Chance to hit. We might have to decide correct places to take further fighter levels, because we'll get weapon specialization longbow that way. It's a big damage increase. I don't want to miss something like that. We have wizardly looking robes. Right. Good enough.
At my command, attack! To the fight! The good of all! For the mother's wrath! Here you meet your end!
Yeah, a bit too shouty for my taste.
At the enemy! To victory! I will win the day! Bring it on! Come on, it's time to take that!
We have no choice. Surrender, or prepare to meet your end.
Yeah, that's decent. Oh, fuck these elven names. Elvorthilmathrong. Jesus fucking Christ. First name is probably something I have to say quite a lot. I can always ignore the last name. Radra? Really? Wheelamalia. Wheel. No. Erandel. Erandel? Anya. Anya. Anya is good enough. Right. I'm just going to create my character fully and maybe check other information we have. I'll end it there. I'll separate the start of the actual story progression. Storyteller.
Yes?
Yes? Have you come to take part in the tale of the prophet? Yes. But you are still new to the life of adventure. Do you wish to be given starting experience to bring you to the 5th level? Yes, please. Then let it be so. Contemplate what you have learned and return to speak with me again. 10,000 experience and 1,000 gold. It's basically not for basic equipment, and that's about it. Anything else? Great Tome of Game Mechanics and Campaign World. I will read all of them. Welcome to the Prophet series. This book describes some of the mechanics on the game. This is for you play with other people. You can rest almost anywhere, however, in many places, resting will launch random encounters. Also, when you rest, you will be blind and deaf, making you quite vulnerable. Death and dying. When you fall below 1 hit point, you will begin to bleed to death at the rate of 1 hit point per round. During this time, you can be healed using normal healing kits and spells. If you reach minus 10 hit points, then you die. At this point, you have 2 choices: either wait for help, raise death can be cast upon you, or click respawn. I think respawning, this makes you a ghost instead of respawning you. So it's basically, if you play with other people, you can, it's a way to make that happen. It's not going to be relevant to me. Great Tome of Game Mechanics. Is this the same book, really? Yes. I think I'll make my character before reading information about the game world. This book contains common knowledge about the nation of Belleria and the surrounding world. It's not that long. 4 paragraphs. We do want to specialize in something. Certain type of buff spells would be useful. So I don't want to sacrifice transmutation or illusion. It's not my intention to rely on damage mitigation and things like that, but it doesn't mean I don't want them. Conjuration. Conjuration has what? Has probably an attack spell on every level and some summoning spells. Maybe something else. I don't want to rely too much on summoning either, because the druid relied so heavily on it. Basically tried to, even if we have a sort of a fighter spellcaster combo, we can still play it in a very different manner. Transmutation is a must. Divination. Well, I can't think of all that many good divination spells, but if we are basically a guy who can see into the future, I don't want to prohibit divination. We could give up in enchantment. Yeah, illusion specialty. Enchantment, it's a good school, but I think I've played an enchanter and I don't want to play that way. So yeah, Illusionist. It'll just basically give us an extra spell slot for each level. We'll pick spells with our plan in mind. True Strike. Yeah, definitely gonna take this. Shield will protect us from magic missiles. Raven Feeblement. Alignment Protection. This is about as basic of an enchantment as you can get, but offensive focus, please. Sonic Damage. Deafened. Grease. Grease is a good control spell in times of need. Probably not gonna use it all that much, but I'd still rather have it than not have it. Maybe Shellgirn's Persistent Blade. I said I don't want summoning spells too much, but it basically I don't want to use these type of summoning spells constantly. This is a very short duration and it's very different. It's like a incredibly fragile construct, but because it has all the attributes of a construct, it's not that easy to kill as a low level character or even harm. It might be good, especially since I have no idea how good we are at the moment. We don't have to take it if it's unnecessary, but I'd rather like to have it at least. I'll take the Pixie. We might need a rogue at some point, and I'm not sure how many spells do we get or items that allow us to do those things, or characters that allow us to do those things. So Pixie is a reasonable backup to have. I know I played the campaign sometime before, but I don't recall anything really about it. I'm still going to basically, I think, shut the fuck about any kind of plot speculation, just in case I'm remembering something instead of just speculating. How do we want these first levels? In some ways it would be better if we take the fighter levels now, but we might have to skip the specialization. Concentration might not be, well, it's important. I was thinking that it might not be important if we sort of stay in the background, but I don't think you're gonna get that kind of a luxury. Humble is a must. We'll have to maneuver quite a bit. We can only get the specialization on a fighter level. Rapid Shot. Extra attack per round with ranged weapons, excluding crossbows. This could be very useful. And even if we could get something like that as Arcane Archer for free, it's still a long way before we are at that point. So it would be very useful. Give me the Rapid Shot. Identify spell, probably won't need it. You usually get lore potions. Color Spray, Illusion spell. Right, I think I'll want at least Wizard level 3. That'll give us access to second level spells. There should be a decent illusion spell. Ghostly Vision is a damage reduction. That could be very useful early on. I'm checking if we get any feats. Weapon specialization, I think, requires a certain amount of attack bonuses, so that's why we don't have access to it yet. High dexterity is a must, otherwise we won't hit targets. Ooh, flame weapon. That's a good one. Ultra Vision Darkness combination would be a good one. I think I'll take attribute bonuses now. Flame weapon. Dexterity boost would help quite a bit. Alternatively, Ghostly Visage. Doesn't last long, but the damage reduction at this point would be generally useful. The problem is, yeah, I want to be offensive focused as much as possible, so maybe not. Cat's Grace. 1d4 plus 1 dexterity bonus. Right. It's a 3-6 split. 3 fighter, 6 wizard. Then we can take our first Arcane Archer on the 10th level. At this point we'll have we probably have 2 basic attack. Right. So I think we should take the wizard to 4, then maybe get an extra fighter level, see if we can get the specialization after that. You are not awarded half points. Only full ones count. I'll take Ultra Vision and Darkness. Excellent. So we're halfway there. I guess it doesn't really matter what we take here. I'll take Light. One shield. I'm not sure if I should take Color Spray. It's... fuck it. I'm not actually quite sure which of these are going to be all that useful. The problem with Color Spray is that if there's no companions, it's easy enough to get to hit, but you're basically casting while the enemies are right next to you. If you have companions, there's a good chance you'll target your own guys, because you can't visually see what you're going to target. I'm going to take 1 summon simply because I don't know if we're going to get companions early on. It's hard to be an archer if there's no one holding the enemy in place. Brave Enfeeblement, and take this out. Flame Weapon is a genuinely great spell. It lasts at least through a fight. Extra amount of fire damage you'll do ends up being probably doubles the weapon damage at some point. Doesn't affect ranged weapons, this is definitely for companion buffing. Ultravision and darkness might not be a good idea. Not now. Because you'd have to give the companion it to, otherwise it'll sort of ruin things. But it's a good way to split larger enemy groups or neutralize certain enemies. Not sure that's a thing we should start out with. Like another cat's grace. This probably doesn't last too long with my levels. Same with the flame weapon. We might want extra wizard level or 2. Because third level spells will be generally much better than the second level. Then worry about the fighter things. See if we can get the weapon specialization going. Anyway, Summa Bellerianis. The Kingdom of Belleria was established in the year 923 Lotharian reckoning by Beldar of Azelgard. This act marked the conclusion of a decade-long war among various human city-states, including Azelgard, Erdenfjord, and Krakalgrad. Additional lands were incorporated into the kingdom, including Endor in 1256. Bellaria now covers a large part of the western continent and is home to humans and halflings, most of whom live in the northeastern province of Norrenshire. Dwarves and gnomes are also occasionally found in Bellaria, but usually in small numbers. Pure-blooded elves are relatively uncommon. On the north, Bellaria is bordered by the Calamir Mountains and the dwarven kingdom of Crackhold. This is a rugged and largely unexplored region, and most human knowledge of it comes from dwarven traders and occasional explorers. The eastern border of Bellaria is not well defined, as human settlements gradually give way to the Jantar Plains, home to various barbarian tribes, and the elven forest of Linlitharn. To the southeast lies the human kingdom of Sardathia, the border of which had been established in 1340, after decades of war. On the south, Bellaria is bordered by the Sea of Serpents and the Emirate of Akaban. Akaban is a human kingdom that has existed for at least 2 millennia and has become a major trade partner with Bellaria in the last 150 years. To the west of Bellaria stretches the Obsidian Ocean, which is generally believed to mark the edge of the world. Bellarian calendar is marked since the time when Lothar of Zenegath defeated the Orcish horse of Kruth and carved out the first human settlements in the region of the western continent over 13 centuries ago. The year is divided into 12 months of 30 days each, with 5 extra days marking special events. Moonrise, the first day of the year, when the moon Selene first appears above the southern horizon and signals the beginning of spring. The Feast of Flowering, after the end of the 3rd month, marking the beginning of summer. Midsummer, a festival of joy which occurs in the middle of the 5th month, when the moon reaches the zenith of the sky and the weather is always fair. Godsmeet, a day of prayer after the end of the 6th month, marking the start of autumn. And Harvesttide, after the end of the 9th month, celebrating the autumn harvest and preparing for the winter, as Selene sets beyond the northern horizon. During winter, the moon is absent from the sky and snow covers the land. Today is the year 1384, and Bellaria is ruled by King Rohan, who lives in the capital Azelgard. The past 7 years have been quite peaceful, aside from occasional skirmishes with the Jantar barbarians and various orc tribes that still live in the forests and mountains of Bellaria. Nevertheless, the land holds many opportunities for high adventure for all those who seek such things. Right. Shitty equipment. We're going to have to go with something basically naked if we're going to want to cast spells and use the archery at the same time. It doesn't matter. It's a problem, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Right, I'll leave things here. Start the actual lot on a separate session.